Hello, hello! Today I am going to be going over the basics of artillery in Foxhole. This brief tutorial takes place during War 99. Throughout this tutorial, I'm going to be covering what artillery is, the different types of artillery, how to make the items for artillery, what is needed for an artillery operation, the different roles you will need for an artillery team, what you do once everything is set up, what not to do as artillery, what good artillery looks like, and finally, how to find an artillery group or team. I'm actually going to be covering my last point first, how to find an artillery group or team. If there's one thing I want to show you today, it's that you don't need to belong to a special regiment or clan to start doing artillery. Even though those things help, sometimes us casual players don't have time for those big operations. So I want to show you through these examples that you can simply ask people near you on the battlefield that are already doing artillery to jump in and help and learn how to do it. Or you can even type in chat and ask if anyone's doing an artillery group and jump in with them as well. Do you need help loading this?
I have another guy, but for now he's walked away, so sure.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
From those examples, you can see that it's pretty easy to get involved with artillery. It can be pretty intimidating at first, but that's why throughout the rest of this video, I'm going to teach you everything you need to know about artillery so that when you do meet these groups, you'll sound like you know what you're talking about. I just wanted to showcase real quick the tutorial area for artillery in Foxhole. It is essentially useless. I mean, it's kind of nice just to see the guns and maybe mess around and shoot with them, but the best experience that you're going to get is finding a group in the actual war. When artillery is well coordinated and done right, it can be one of the most destructive forces in Foxhole. A lot goes into setting up an artillery group, lots of teamwork, lots of communication, and lots of different roles. There are three different types of artillery. There's field artillery, light artillery, and heavy artillery. Field artillery is what you'll see more towards the beginning of the war. It's normally manned by two people, and it's those push guns that you see coming down the streets most of the time. Next up is the light artillery. This consists of the 120mm cannons. These are probably the ones that you're going to see the most in the war and the ones that you'll probably be using the most. You can find them on the map with these little triangles as well. Last is the heavy artillery. This consists of 150mm cannons and the storm cannons as well. You, as a solo player, you may see some pickup groups for 150mm sometimes, but they're mainly probably going to be operations, and same thing for storm cannons. These are going to be group operations led by regiments and clans mainly. The main place you're going to be constructing these cannons is actually on the construction yard pallet. These can be found in most backline hexes, and to construct these, they take refined materials. With the 1.0 update, you can now make 120 shells in facilities, and this is the easiest way to pump those shells out and put them on pallets and get them used for your artillery operation. The items you will need to perform your operation are as following. You will need a crane. The crane will be used to move artillery guns off your flatbed, which is the next item that you will need. And of course, you'll need the cannon. An extra item you may need is pillboxes and defenses around you. Sometimes partisans may try and sneak to the back line to stop your artillery operation. Oh geez, somebody's behind us. Next, we will cover the different roles and positions for artillery. Once you do have your artillery set up, you're going to need your crew, and then you'll be ready to fire. There are 4 different roles in the artillery operation. There's the loader, the shooter, the spotter, and then the runner or logi role. The loader is one of the more basic roles of the artillery operation, and it is where most new players start out. Loaders will simply walk up to ammo pallets, press V, picking up the shell, and then walk to the artillery cannon, and then also press V to load the ammo into the artillery cannon. Another task for the loader may be to change the azimuth if needed by the shooter. You will need to jump on the cannon, and you will need to change the azimuth to whatever the spotter is requesting. The next role is the shooter. After the loader has put the shell into the cannon, you will reload it and fire. You simply fire the cannon by left-clicking. The other task the shooter will have will be to change the range. You can increase and decrease this with the mouse wheel. Your spotter may give you an exact range. You'll never usually land exactly on that range, but as long as you're within 5mm, you should be fine. One last thing for shooters is your spotter may give you a command, fire for effect.
Ready? Yeah, can somebody
All
move the
guns,
guns?
Ready?
fire for effects.
This usually means fire 1 to 3 shells, depending on how many the spotter says, to see where the shells are going to land. Once the spotter has their perfect position from the fire for effect shells, they will usually tell you to unload and just start firing shells as fast as you can. This is where the loader and the shooter need to be in sync. The third role is the runner or the Logi player. This player is normally taking a Logi truck or the flatbed with the pallets and running back to where the ammo is stored and bringing it to where the artillery operation is happening. The last role is the spotter. The spotter is one of the more complicated roles. As the spotter, you will want to use binoculars in your inventory to see both the target and where the shells are landing. The spotter role is usually filled by a more experienced player. You normally don't see too many new players trying out the spotter role because the new players don't know where the shells should be landing or what priority is. As a spotter, you'll use websites such as these, the F Hardy, and the Foxhole stats with the ruler tool. You'll want to use these websites to measure the range of the position of where your artillery is shooting from to where you want the shells to land. If your team is able to get on Discord together, this helps a lot. The spotter can usually stream what they're seeing, so at least the shooter and the loader and the runner can see what is happening on the spotter's end. The spotter not only has to calculate range, but they have to calculate the wind as well. They will want to look at structures nearby and see which direction the wind is blowing. At times, the wind can move shells from anywhere to 0 to 50 meters in any direction. So this is why it's important the spotter gets to know how the wind affects the shells and where their team needs to move the artillery cannon to hit the target. I've provided a link down below that explains wind on the Foxhole wiki page. That has been a brief summary of all the roles within artillery. Again, loader, shooter, runner, and spotter. This is the order of operations that things should be done in. First, you should find your group of 3 to 4 people. Second, you should gather the cannons and the ammo. Third, find the location you want. Use the websites I mentioned to measure the range. Fourth, make sure your location that you will be firing from is well defended. Fifth, have your spotter find your first target. Sixth, fire for effect to see if any adjustments need to be made. Seventh, if no adjustments need to be made, fire shells until target is destroyed. And finally, eighth, once the target or targets are destroyed, pack up your artillery cannons and bring them back to the stockpile. Here are 2 examples of what not to do on an artillery operation.
Decrease that by 10 meter, 340.
12. I said that this could easily take another, like, could easily go up to 20 days, and then we kind of steamroll them in the west.
Pretty good for now.
Oh,
Holy
Jesus Christ.
shit!
You'll see during this video that an artillery group is firing on the concrete structures, and I'm the only person that needs to repair it. I don't even need to repair it the whole time. The artillery group has no infantry pushing up, no tanks, and they are the only cannon firing. I would say if this group is out here just practicing their artillery, that this is a great use of time, but if they're actually trying to do any real damage, that it is a waste of time. If you want to be an effective artillery group, especially in the concrete stage of the game, make sure you have several cannons or you have a very active front pushing forward. Here is a quick montage of what you should be doing as an artillery group. Well, this has been my brief tutorial on artillery, hopefully brief. I hope you have all learned something new. Hopefully this has helped you for when you're going to join some artillery groups. I know if you're a veteran player, you probably didn't learn too much from this video, but hopefully some new players did. And the main thing I just wanted to get across to all of you out there, especially new players, is just jump right in. You know, ask people if you can join their artillery groups, type in chat, see if you can join anybody. Again, I know it can be intimidating at first, but just jump right in and you'll learn right away. So let me know how you join arty groups or what you do with artillery if I missed some point that I should have brought up. But as always, thanks for watching and cheers.